I know, thank you. I was getting ready to start. I was talking to my son. So we are gonna go ahead and get started on chapter 4 today. We're doing section 1. Your homework is out of the book tonight, section 1, numbers 1 through 18. So let me pull up the slideshow. I hope you guys had a good weekend. The test, most of you did it. Thank you. I have, I think, 2 people missing it, and I will try to remember to message you before you leave, or message me actually. All right. So chapter 4 is financial planning or decisions and planning. And so section 1 we're going to talk about today is resources and choices. So you're going to want to write the title down. Yes, you should be titling the sections. So resources and choices is today's. So again, title's up there. So you do not need to write these objectives down, but we're going to describe needs and wants and explain how financial resources will help fulfill needs and wants. Talk about a personal cash flow statement and a net worth statement, and apply the decision-making process to your financial choices. So in this picture, which basic needs are represented and what wants are represented. So you guys can just type them into the chat. So looking at this picture, what basic needs are represented and what wants are represented? What do we think? And I know, I know we have not defined what needs and wants are yet. But what basic needs, or what are things that are what's a need versus a want, basically? So you could say food is a basic need, but the popcorn could be more of a want. A need to do homework. It's a want to change the TV channel. Listening to music. Is listening to music a need or a want? Yeah. The clothes she's wearing, those are a need, definitely. Having a cell phone is a want. We might think it's a need because we are so used to having them, but they're not. Anyone else have anything before we move on? So needs are things needed for survival, such as food, water, clothing, shelter, medical care. Wants are things people desire for reasons beyond survival and basic comfort. So again, needs are things needed for survival, and wants are basically anything beyond that. So with the popcorn in the picture, that could kind of go either way. Is it a need because she needed it? It is food, but was it more of a want as a snack because she already ate lunch or something? And you can't tell just from the picture. But needs are needed for survival, and wants are what people desire beyond the basic survival and basic comfort. So I think I skipped something. Oh no, okay. So you can't buy everything. Why can't you buy everything you want? Because your financial resources are limited and you must make choices. So when you're taking part in the decision-making process, you should consider the trade-off, giving up one option in exchange for another, and the opportunity cost, which is the value of your next best option. What are you giving up, basically? You should not consider sunk costs, which are costs that have already been incurred and are not recoverable. So don't make decisions about your future based on how much time or money you've put into it already. So our needs and wants tend to be unlimited, especially those wants, but our financial resources are limited. So we have to kind of make decisions here. So we're gonna go through a few different scenarios for you guys to kind of chime in. People must make choices to satisfy their wants and needs. This is just kind of a quote. So when one accepts the fact that they choose, they can lose the victim mentality, although some things do happen to them. By and large, their lives are a result of their choices and how they choose to react to what happens. So you don't have to write these down. Trade-offs are all the alternatives that we give up whenever we choose one course of action over the others. The most desirable alternative given up as a result of the decision is known as the opportunity cost. It is what is lost due to the choice you made. So for example, what are your options for Friday night? You could study, you could get your homework done, you could go out with your friends, you could play Xbox. So you have lots of options, and trade-offs are the alternatives, and then the opportunity cost is what you're losing. So you should weigh all the benefits and costs of your decisions. To consider the full cost of any decision, you must consider both the explicit and the implicit costs, which are the opportunity costs. So the total cost is the explicit cost, how much money is it actually costing you, and implicit cost. So there's like this cartoon here. This guy saying, I hope you appreciate each walk costs $175 of billable time, meaning he could be charging some client that much money. But the dog saying that he should appreciate that the dog is the guy's only friend. So this is a perfect high school example. Karen needs to decide whether to sleep in late or wake up early to study for a test. I'm sure Karen is not the only one, but the cost benefit analysis should include both the explicit and implicit costs. So I'm sure several of you have decided or thought about, like, are you going to do your homework in the morning, wake up early to study, or are you going to set your alarm an extra hour later and not get up to study? Which sleep is important, but so is studying. So here's another example. It says you've ordered the special dessert on the menu, the princess cake served flambe a la mode. It costs $25, but it will be well worth it to have a piece of your favorite Swedish cake served with ice cream and set on fire. When it comes, it is so huge that it will be difficult for you to eat it all. The only alternative is it would go to waste because of the fire and the fact that your dining partner is lactose intolerant. Would you eat it all? So, what would you guys do? You're getting full, it's too big, but you're spending $25 on this piece of cake. Are you going to eat it all or are you going to waste it? You can't save it. So chime in. It can be to the whole class or to me. What would you do in this situation? And there's no right or wrong answer.
Give it to another table.
You say give it to another table?
Yeah.
Okay, that's an option. Personally, if you were sitting at another table, though, would you take someone's half-eaten cake?
If someone offered me a free cake, probably.
Okay. Possibly not get it in the first place. Yeah, if you're spending $25, you're going to eat it full or not. A few of you in the private chat are saying the same things, that you're going to finish it, and several of you are just saying you're not going to waste your money. Okay. So here's another one. You and a friend buy tickets to a concert of a new but widely acclaimed artist. Tickets were $150 each, and you have to drive 100 miles to get to the concert. After 15 minutes of listening, you realize the music is terrible. Do you stay or do you leave? So here you spent a lot of money to get there. It was a long drive, but when you're there, it's terrible and you're not having a good time. Is the money that you already spent worth staying if you're not enjoying it? How many of you would stay? Would anyone leave? If they have concessions, okay. This one is, should you marry him? You've been dating a guy for 2 years. When he asks you to move in, you move in after living together for 10 more years in a relative contentment. You feel he isn't the one, but you're very content and you've been together now for 12 years. He asks you to marry him. You're 35 years old. Do you marry him? Or her, if you're looking at it from the other way. So a few of you looks like got about like 10 of you answered so far, privately and some publicly now. Yeah, if you don't feel like he's the one, no. But some people are saying, yeah, I'm content. Why not? 35 isn't that old, but it's not very young these days. Rather be alone and happy. So, I mean, this is an extreme situation, and some of these are, but every day we're making these decisions. We're thinking about the trade-offs, the opportunity costs, kind of what are you losing when you make one decision or the other. Same idea. You're in college, you'd have invested the first 2 years in about $50,000 majoring in engineering. Your junior year, you realize you're not enjoying your classes, but it is nice to see how proud your dad is. So should you switch your major from engineering to something else and stay in school longer to finish a degree program? Or do you stick out with engineering even though you're not enjoying it? Right. And so is seeing your dad happy here worth it? Because it's essentially your job and the rest of your life if you're committing to this major. $50,000 is a lot already invested, but again, those are sunk costs. You can't get that money back. So if you leave the major, you're just in school longer. I think there's a few more. I think we get the idea. So basically, sunk costs have already been incurred, so we don't necessarily need to take those into account because you can't get that money back. Okay, so that's the idea there. So your book defines how can you make good financial choices with this decision-making process. It has 6 steps to it. So first you define the problem or the goal. So look for ways to resolve it that fit into your financial resources now or in the future. So maybe you need a new laptop to do your homework. Gather information. So figure out what it is you want, compare your choices, make the decision, take action. So you compare your choices, shop around online, make a decision, take action. You buy that one, if it's in this situation, buying a laptop, and then reevaluate your choice. You do want to kind of go back. Is it actually what you wanted? Was there something that stood out to you and made you choose that certain one, but it isn't everything you expected? So those, again, this is what your book defines as the decision-making process. And a lot of this you may do already. And some of them kind of go together. When you're gathering information, you're probably comparing your choices at the same time. You might learn something new. All right, so how are income and wealth measured? So personal cash flow statements, a cash inflow is income from your job, investments, and other sources. So cash inflows are any sort of income coming in. And then cash outflows are expenses or items for which you must spend money. So this is an example of a personal cash flow statement. So Andrea here works part-time. So cash inflows, working part-time, she makes $120. She gets allowance of $40. It looks like this was for a full month. She gets a lunch money allowance of $60, and then her savings account gives her $2 for the month. So her total cash inflow was $222. Cash outflow, what she spends the money on. So gifts, she spent $20 this month. Clothes and shoes, she spent $60. She had to pay her parents back a loan of $20. She spent $60 on her lunches, and then she spent $40 on entertainment or other things. So her total cash outflow was $200. So her net cash flow was $22. How much came in minus how much the cash outflow was. So she has $22 left over from the month of April. So your personal net worth statement, that's essentially measuring your wealth. So it's the items of value minus any debts you owe, basically. Assets are money and items of value that you own. The value should be equal to the money you'd get if you sold them. So that is an asset. Assets that grow in value are said to appreciate, and assets that decrease in value over time are said to depreciate. So most things we know of these days will depreciate. Over time, their value will go down. There are things that value goes up. That's said to appreciate. Liabilities are debts that you owe. So your total net worth is your assets minus your liabilities. So money and items of value that you own. So if you sold them, how much money would you get? Minus debts that you owe. That's how you get your net worth. And so this is Jerry Lopez's personal net worth statement for May. So his assets, he has cash and checking account, savings bonds. He has a baseball card collection. Again, this is how much money he would get if he sold it. He has a computer, iPod, and games, and his car is currently worth $3,000. So his total assets are $4,652.56. But then his liabilities, what he owes. So his car loan, he owes $1,100 on it. His credit card debt is just over $200, so it's $1,300. So his net worth, you take your assets of $4,652 and you subtract the $1,300. So his net worth there is $3,351. And that is it for section 1 on resources and choices. So your homework tonight, like I said, is maybe I said it wrong earlier and I apologize. It's 1 through 21, which is what is posted in Google Classroom and hopefully also